Happy Friday, UTC. It looks like the weather may shake things up for the southern part of the United States this week.
Also, an annual event makes its return to campus at the University Center.
I'm Destiny McClendon.
And I'm Katie Stevenson. Your news starts now. We begin with the latest on Hurricane Ian. The megastorm revived in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean and is now aiming to make landfall again on the South Carolina coast. Ian hit Florida with a storm surge that caused catastrophic damage and left people trapped in their homes. 700 people have been rescued by air. So far, 6 people have been declared dead in Florida. Now back to South Carolina. Normally, the streets of historic Charleston would be filled with morning commuter traffic, but today those streets are empty as people wait for Ian's landfall there. Later in weather, we will find out if we will see any impact from Ian.
A recent report underlines the growth of Latinos enrolled at UTC. The report says we have an all-time high in Latino students.
This population makes up 6% of UTC's total enrollment. Overall, the number of Latino students enrolled at UTC has risen 37% over the past 5 years.
Here on campus, Hispanic Heritage Month is giving people at UTC an opportunity to connect with the Latin community of Chattanooga. One event took place at the Lupton Hall recently, and we asked an organizer what was her favorite part of the month-long celebration.
Me. Tacos, let's see. Like really from my heart, my favorite thing about Hispanic Heritage Month is educating people on, and this is one of my daughter says I say the same jokes all the time, but we aren't just making your tacos and we're not just cleaning your homes. We're professional people, we're educated.
This month is also a good opportunity to teach others about Hispanic heritage.
I'm first generation born in this country, and Spanish was my first language. So I love to show people a different side of my heritage that maybe they've never been familiar.
Members of campus student organizations saw the event as an opportunity to connect with other organizations and explore collaboration.
Going to these type of events on campus really do help for a lot of people.
We talked to Syra Weddle, a freshman here on campus who is with Think Achieve. She was there supporting her friends with Latin heritage. She had a lot to share about Think Achieve's outreach and involvement in these types of events.
We send emails to our the students on campus so that they know about these events. So there's a lot of multicultural type of events going on. So simply going to these events and talking to people and making connections.
To find out more about Think Achieve, contact the director at binct-carlston@utc.edu.
But most of all, the event celebrated Hispanic culture through dance, food, and song. Here's Katie Stevens with the story.
The university hosted Nuestras Historias, Our Stories, this past Thursday, September 22nd. The event was hosted to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month.
Que apoyemos a nuestra cultura de Guatemala, seguir fortaleciendo. Guatemala es rica en culturas, tradiciones, y hay que enfocarnos en la cultura y mostrar un poquito acá en Estados Unidos.
The university also featured a performance by Latin singer Pedro Abriles. Abriles performed an original song and a Chilean song. The event ended with a panel discussion featuring Latin panelists who live and work in the Chattanooga area.
This year's International Festival had a rather playful theme. Multicultural Affairs held an annual event on Chamberlain Field. The theme was based on games found around the world, so several games were available to play.
A lot of the games that we play every day, we don't realize that they've come from all corners of the globe. And so today was to introduce people to things, to reintroduce people to games that they've seen for years, but did not realize that they were connected from all different types of places.
He also wanted students to be able to unwind a bit before midterms. It was a fun and educational event for all the students. It's finally starting to feel a little bit like fall.
And here's our own Leonardo Vega to see if the trend continues with next week's forecast.
Folks, our days of warm weather are finally over. Time to pack away all of your summer clothes. We've all noticed that the cold weather is finally coming through. This past week was chilly, but temperatures could drop even more this week. We might even see lows in the mid-40s, especially towards the middle of the week. The weather will be at its coldest next weekend with a potential low of 46 on Saturday. And Hurricane Ian is barreling from Florida towards South Carolina. Will we see its effects here in Chattanooga? Will we see rain, high wind, or even lose power? Only time will tell. Batten down the hatches and make sure you have plenty of candles ready. Katie and Destiny, back to you.
UTC's annual blood drive event, Blood-A-Nooga, returned this week on Wednesday and Thursday. Hosted in the Tennessee Room within the University Center, students and the general public could donate blood to the local nonprofit Blood Assurance. This year's theme captured the spirit of the 80s by paying homage to the successful hit show Netflix's Stranger Things. Since its start 11 years ago, the blood drive has had over 7,300 donors and counting. Your Mocs have a matchup with a rival this weekend.
And there's also word that Hurricane Ian may impact the games happening in Florida this week.
Here's Frankie Bolignani with the latest on sports.
The Tennessee Vols won a close game against the Florida Gators this past Saturday with a score of 38-33. It was a very exciting game that came down to the wire, but the Vols managed to pull it off. This longtime rivalry has seen 52 total games, with Florida leading the series 31-21. But Tennessee is now ranked top 10, standing at 8th, and hopes to turn the tide of the image they've received since their scandal involving Butch Jones. In what has historically been a much closer rivalry, your Mocs will travel to Johnson City to take on the East Tennessee State Buccaneers. The Mocs have won the last two matchups against ETSU and hold a respectable record of 24-19-1 versus the Buccaneers. Although the last 5 years have been split at 5-5, the Mocs are looking to swoop in and take over this rivalry. Go Mocs! This game can be viewed on ESPN Plus and has been moved to 3 p.m. Eastern due to impeding weather. Speaking of, Hurricane Ian has had a significant impact not only on the daily lives of citizens, but on athletes as well. Multiple football games, tennis matchups, and even North Florida's opening swim meet have either been rescheduled, postponed, or canceled. The Super Bowl rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is to still be held in Tampa at the scheduled time. In the NHL, the Tampa Bay Lightning have moved their training camp to Nashville with the Predators. The two teams faced off yesterday and plan to again today at 6 p.m. Eastern. Lastly, in the MLB, the Tampa Bay Rays will be finishing their schedule on the road in hopes of obtaining a playoff spot. Our thoughts and prayers here at Mocs News go out to all those affected by Hurricane Ian. Thank you all for tuning in. Back to you, Destiny and Katie.
You never know what you will see on campus. This video of a red-tailed hawk taken just feet away from Oak Street.
Hawks feast on lizards and snakes they find on campus, and that's what apparently happened here. This breed of bird can be found across most of the United States year-round, as well as most of Mexico and Cuba.
That's this edition of Mocs News. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to keep up with us on our Facebook page.
We are also on Twitter and YouTube. Have a good weekend.